Hello everyone and welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday. Long time no see. There's a hydrate command from Harold Elbleman that I missed earlier, so I'll do that right now. So we just did a stream looking at Elon Musk and Trump's annoying discussion together, but it's Tuesday, so of course we're here for Tinfoil Tuesday, so welcome to stream number 2 for the day. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Let's jump right into it. I'm already warmed up, but I do have to do this. If you want to support the stream, we're getting closer to Costume Month. We are almost done with this Costume Month, so until this bar up here completes in a few days or whatever, when month is over, I'll get to wear normal clothes. So if you want me to wear costumes and get a new one, do the Costume Month goal through the tip link. The show is also supported through bits, subscriptions, memberships, and super chats. So thank you everyone who helped support the show. Couldn't do it without you. Dillis Filler with 40 bits says Hannah Reloaded presents The Adventures of Tinfoil. So let's get into it. We'll start with Daniel Pratt. He's very angry, as he typically is. What's this one about? Oh boy, this is about the final experiment, and it's titled, "The Final Experiment, or just the latest contrived Hegelian dialectic narrative. Hashtag waste of time."
I've tried to avoid it long enough.
I did not, Garby the cat.
Someone mentioned the other day, the final experiment. The latest thesis, antithesis.
Insert that copy pasta about Hegel's method was called immanent critique. Hegel never used the words thesis, antithesis, synthesis.
Hegelian dialectic narrative going on in the flat earth realm. Here's what I think. I think it's just another controlled narrative on both sides.
We are playing bingo, by the way, so make sure you get your bingo cards ready. I'm a fool, though. I gotta clear this off real quick. I'm sorry. I didn't do this before the stream because I wasn't thinking about it, because this is the second stream of the day. I have to clear the bingo card. None of this is real. Ignore this while I remove these. Move! Man, some of these really don't want to get off their spaces. Hey, Phoenix Leftist, welcome back. Boop, 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 boop. Moving these spaces off. This is thrilling entertainment, by the way. If this were like 300 years ago, this would be more entertaining than every fun thing you did all year, just watching move these bingo spaces, so you should be happy about it, quite honestly. Alright, we're good.
I think that for the last 10 years, the Flat Earth movement has coincided with 2 different presidential cycles, which means elections. And in all that time, nobody with influence in that topic has said, hey, we should try to get this into the political realm. We should try to make this a...
I am begging you people not to turn Flat Earth into some sort of wedge issue. I've talked about how I'm really scared within the next 10 years Republicans are actually going to start running on Flat Earth. And if that happens, I'll be A, vindicated, and B, incredibly depressed. So please don't do that.
Relevant topic, instead of keep it an irrelevant topic wherein people just debate all day, every day, and never...
And that doesn't happen in politics at all.
Try to reach an actual solution on both sides. You know, when I mention all the time, when I first got attacked the most was early on when I was in Houston, and I said, hey...
CC being happy is one of the portents of the apocalypse.
Hey, why are we going at each other's throats? Why don't you Globers help us petition NASA to do the stuff that would actually satisfy flat earthers as...
Nothing would satisfy flat earthers because their investment in the belief is emotional and not based in factual things or logic or evidence. You can't evidence someone out of an emotional position. You need to emotion their way out of it. It's not fair. That's not good. But it is what I've witnessed.
Actual science, scientific method-based science.
Flat Earth on the bingo card, of course, and doesn't understand the scientific method. If he thinks that NASA doesn't already use the scientific method, he doesn't understand the scientific method.
Or put cameras on it. Do something. We're not asking unreasonable requests for our tax dollars. One of the narratives in Flat Earth has been, oh, the maps. People get all up in arms about maps. Is this map real? Is that? That's not accidental, because it's a side topic within the topic that if they keep you busy debating and arguing with each other constantly, just like politics, just like everything else, as long as you're going at each other, you're not looking at them and saying, hey, we may have our differences on what it is, whether there's more land or a dome.
Did he say the word psyop? I missed it if he did.
What politics, just like you busy debating and arguing with each other constantly, just like politics, just like everything else. As long as you're going at each other, you're not looking at them and saying, hey,
okay, I'd say that's a psyop.
We may have our
psyop
differences on what it is, whether there's more land or a dome. My opinion, I believe it's a dome. I made no secret of that. That's what it says in the Bible. And so until proven otherwise, that's
ancient wisdom on the bingo card for the Bible thing.
The belief, and I'll admit it's a belief, but I also recognize it can be solved. That's what they want us doing, is being online, arguing about our beliefs and that. We've petitioned NASA. Wait, I'll come back to that. So as far as the more land, I believe it's a dome. I think what they've done, one of the narratives in Flat Earth has been, for the longest time, oh, that AE map, that's just another trap to keep us trapped. They had us trapped on a ball before, and now they're just trying to keep us trapped in a dome. Well, that's gaslighting.
It's almost like no matter what, flat earthers aren't satisfied because their fundamental issue isn't actually the shape of the earth, but it's an emotional discomfort with the state of reality not comporting with their view of the world. To them, just things don't feel right. So as long as things don't feel right to them because of whatever their personal emotional issue is, they're going to come up with some conspiracy to explain that feeling. They're projecting, generally, in the actual clinical sense. Not that they are hiding the shape of the earth, but, they are experiencing an internal state. They are experiencing emotions that make them uncomfortable. They feel lied to. So instead of recognizing, oh, maybe these are feelings that are just internal in me, they go, no, other people are making me feel this way, and then they find a reason that slots into that feeling. In this case, it's the conspiracy of Flat Earth.
Because that's exactly not what they sold us with the globe. They sold us we'd be going to the moon and Mars and colonizing Mars and expanding it.
Yeah, man, that was Cold War propaganda.
Into the galaxies. So keeping us trapped on the ball was never their narrative.
Dome does not count as fake sky, because they don't necessarily think the sky is fake, but they do think there's a snow globe around it.
Because in my opinion, to hide the truth, we are trapped. We are in a controlled environment. It's almost like God knows the heathens that we are and how it would turn out. So until we learn the lessons he's trying to teach us, he's not letting us in his house. Why would you? So, but, no different than the whole immigration issue, but you try to relate it to Flat Earth and people's brains just short out. So, this final experiment is just another controlled narrative so that people don't focus on, hey, why can't we just go check it out ourselves? Why does this trip on a scheduled charter service, again, that's not free exploration. So it's their way to say, well, we went to Antarctica, we made a video, as if in this day and age of deep fake technology where I could make myself look and sound like Barack Obama, You're trying to tell me they don't have technology that could fake a 24-hour sun?
The point is they're taking flat earthers. That's the point. So they see it with their eyeballs. Of course, other flat earthers that aren't there are never going to believe it, but it is interesting.
Any video they produce from this final experiment, they don't care that it will be debated. That's what they want for another year, 2 years, until the next fake opposition Hegelian dialectic comes out.
What in the world? Why is he using Hegelian dialectic in this way? I'm so confused. What is he talking about? Like, I know what a Hegelian dialect is, but a dialectic, but like, what does he think he's saying here? Just an argument? Does he mean discourse? He means discourse, right? He's just using Hegelian dialectic because it sounds more impressive? Yeah, it's like a pseudo-intellectual thing, right? Like he wants to sound smart?
What predetermined solution to just keep people bickering and debating?
Hold on, I gotta play this because we're on the topic, so.
That's not how fucking dialectics works, you stupid cuck! I didn't study Hegel, plus continental philosophy in general, at Harvard for 7 fucking years for some lowlife know-it-all who's clearly never fucking read Hegel, as he would know that Hegel has never fucking ever used the terms thesis, antithesis, synthesis to start perpetuating these lies at every single fucking opportunity! This isn't Hegel, my friend. No. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis was thought up by Fichte, and it's clearly inferior to Hegel's dialectical method of immanent critique. Yes, it's called immanent critique, and dialectics is only one part of Hegel's full method, which again is called immanent critique, which you would know if you had actually bothered to read Hegel. It's literally in the science of logic, you dumb fucking piece of shit. I honestly cannot believe the fucking arrogance to come onto this post spouting that anti-Hegel garbage. Where did you get your fucking info on dialectics? Fucking Jason Unruh? Jesus fucking Christ! I cannot deal with this bullshit right now. I'm sorry. I'm leaving. I'm fucking leaving.
H-Baird says the plural of thesis is theses, which means they're made of fecal matter. Oh.
Online and collecting super chats. So this final experiment keeps that debate going, emphasizes the quote-unquote shills that everybody always talks about. Do they have to be secret, really be secret squirrel, secret agent, getting directions, all that? No. They just have to follow a narrative. Whatever they do, you do the opposite, but you have to make it believable enough so that there's an actual argument and let them argue. Just like politics. As long as they're arguing with each other, they ain't focused on us, and we can just keep doing whatever we want. So, why is it your flat earth influencers never push forward, never push the narrative into the faces of the people? So, we're in the now they ignore you stage. And there's no one doing anything to overcome that. It's still the same old, let me come out, debate, and entertain people for super chats for 2-3 hours at a time, but never try to bring people, people always play that video of mine, flat earthers always play that video of mine where I talk about everybody has to come together. Well, but they don't do anything to focus on one topic. So Antarctica could be that topic. In an election cycle.
You can't have flat earthers all agree on something because fundamentally part of the psychology of conspiracy theorists, people who are not just interested in one or two, but it controls their whole worldview. Their worldview is that there is a nefarious them, right? That's trying to control them and trying to control the world. Part of that psychology is a really firm, what's the word I'm thinking of? They want to do the opposite of whatever group they're in. So in larger society, the Earth is round. So they go, no, the Earth is flat. When they get into a smaller community, they're going to find things to argue about amongst themselves, because fundamentally, yes, they like to be contrarian. Contrarianism is a huge part of what makes them feel good. It makes them feel smart to be contrarian. So you could theoretically just have them break into smaller and smaller groups, so they're always going to be arguing with each other. I mean, fundamentally, that's a lot of human beings. It's not just flat earthers. I'm just saying it's something I've noted in flat earth is they tend to be quite contrarian by nature, and if there comes to be some sort of even minute consensus, there will always be some that are against it simply because they don't think that consensus is ever trustworthy. To them, consensus in and of itself is suspicious. Benekagami says, literally a flat earther did get into office and tried to put it into political spaces. Everyone just laughed at her and she had to disavow to keep power. Incredible.
But of course, it's too late now, because people have been arguing about this final experiment for the last 3 months, when they could have been saying, you know what, we have a lot of differences in the flat earth community, but can't we come together on one topic? How about Antarctica? How about as the whole immigration problem has people talking about resources and how we have no resources to give these people? Well, we have the Admiral Byrd video from Antarctica talking about the abundance of resources. So when we go and start a petition, we want 100,000 people to be able to freely explore Antarctica, whatever it is.
The big ice desert. Just a tundra. Just an endless fucking tundra. Not endless, literally. I'm being hyperbolic. It's a large tundra.
And then get people moving to get out there and put it in the realm. So that when non-flat earthers say, what do you want to go to Antarctica for? Well, did you know there's an abundance of resources while we're paying $4 or $5 a gallon for gas?
You understand the complete ridiculous nature of setting up permanent oil rigs in Antarctica? Also, no one's in ownership of Antarctica. So if people started trying to pull resources out of it, it would lead to probably a quite large conflict, which wouldn't be good for anyone.
We could be getting tons of it.
Doesn't understand his problem is capitalism? Yes.
From
On the bingo
Antarctica.
card.
But they got this thing called the Antarctic Treaty, you see? And strangely enough, even though nations all over the world break treaties like nothing all day, every day, they will not break that one. And the opponents of flat earth will just sit online all day and say, why don't you go touch the wall? Why don't you go show us the wall? Why don't you go to Antarctica? Knowing damn well there's a treaty in place to keep you from doing so. And then anytime you bring it up, just say, oh, that's not true. Oh, you don't know what that means. That's just, no. And poo-poo it off. Again, they're happy to argue about it for 10 years now online. And so it's that simple. They don't even have to be shills, but if the leaders, the influencers of your movement, if you care about the truth of flat earth getting out, they need to be, are they not like your democratic representatives?
The Antarctic Treaty is real, it's just not a flat earth thing. It was a Cold War decision by the United States, Russia, at the time the Soviet Union, and many other related states to not go into conflict with each other over the Antarctic, because it would just be bad for everyone, not worth it. H-Beard says, they will break the treaty if penguin egg omelets become a thing. I want an omelet. Of any kind. Eggs are delicious.
They put themselves as the leaders and influencers in the community, so you need to tell them what they need to do. Especially when they're bitching and moaning at you about never giving them enough super chats. Well, maybe you're not doing what the people want, which is progress. Forcing flat earth into the discussion with simple demands that should be easy enough that the public should easily at least be able to understand. But they know they control the media, they control the influencers, because as soon as they start talking about a topic they don't want them talking about, the income stream gets cut off. Well, oh God, can't have that. So let's go to, again, same as politics, same as everything else. So that's what I think of this final experiment. It's just another hustler con man from the Globe cult, another mid-level influencer in the cult, out to get people all distracted on a topic that will go down, be vague as hell, be easily fakeable, and
Lennon Cat says, I learned today that Russia, Norway, Denmark, and Canada already have territorial disputes over the Arctic and the North Pole. Yeah, not worth it to try and do that on both poles. Not worth it.
and people will just argue and debate about it and continue on, never saying, hey, we demand free exploration. All they've done is take outer space, the one, where they didn't sell us the idea we're trapped on a ball, and made it outer space to more worlds, more continents, but we'll never be able to prove any of it. And they just want us arguing about it online. I've said for myself, I believe it's a dome, and I'm 99.999% certain that's what you'll find when you go. But you'll never go. They cannot afford to let that happen. And if you're not highlighting that to show the resistance and then responding as, wait a minute, all the stuff going on in the world, and you really can't let people just go freely explore. The penguins are really that crucial to Earth's survival and humanity's survival.
Wow, he's being pretty flippant about penguins. Fuck you, penguins are cool.
As the world is a tinderbox just waiting to go off right now in World War III, but we can't
I hope the penguins take over when we all die.
let people
They'll do better with this world. They'll just slide around on their bellies all cute.
escape to Antarctica.
They won't do imperialism.
We can cause mass immigration all over the world so that people's lives are disrupted. They lose their cultures in a melting pot of different races. So there's
I'm gonna say that's conspiracy theorist tells on themselves on the bingo card, because that was pretty yikes.
no individuality.
Like, it's fair to point out, like, hey, international crises caused by the United States. But then the other part was like, oh wow, that feels racist.
But we can't let people escape to Antarctica.
Toreador Futurama Futurama penguin cocking a shotgun.
Where there's vast amounts of land. We really had the technology to go to the 60s in the moon, and we're sold all these stories about colonizing the moon and Mars.
What about the emperor penguin?
But we really can't colonize
Okay, I rethought it. Maybe the seals can take over after we're all dead? Planet of the seals? Anyone?
Antarctica, really, for some peace in the world. So we leave vast amounts of resources and minerals alone because of this treaty, as countries go to war over these resources. And then we cause mass immigration where people meet and different cultures collide and there's obvious conflict. What else would you
Okay, yeah, that's definitely conspiracy theorist tells on themselves on the bingo card.
expect?
Proof penguins are evil? Oh god. I can't play this, it's copyrighted.
But we can't give people the choice to just go start over in Antarctica. The penguins are too essential. Or is it the polar ice caps? Or which story are you guys pumping most lately? By the mainstream, I mean, obviously, on my channel. So that's what I think of it. Just another ruse. Keeps the paycheck, or, super chats coming in. Keeps the constant conflict and division between the population rather than the population saying, hey, you crooked motherfuckers are the one that always create these situations where we're fighting each other while you just rob us all blind. So that's how you could relate the flat earth motivation to explore Antarctica with the general population. And during an election, if they start telling their candidate, we want to freely explore Antarctica and see if those resources Admiral Byrd talked about, we got the receipts. We want to see what's up with those and why we're not using them. When your population's going broke left and right, drowning under inflation and gas prices, but we can't go get that gas out of Antarctica because of the penguins. So if you wonder where you stand on the pecking order as they constantly beg you to vote, people, well, there's the penguins and then there's you.
I'm glad he doesn't vote, at least.
But we need you to vote so that you can still not have the right to go freely explore Antarctica, collect those resources, and make it so you don't pay $5 a gallon gas here.
Maybe don't buy a giant pickup truck you don't need, but it's a dick measuring contest between you and your buddies. Alright, let's take a look at the bingo card. Flat Earth, Ancient Wisdom, Conspiracy Theorist Tells on Themselves, Controlled Opposition, PSYOP. Anything else? I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that's it. Okay, that's probably it. Oh, doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. That's what it is. Thank you. Yeah, I marked Flat Earth. At least I thought I did. Okay. Let's do the titular video. We'll do the friggin' Flintstones thing. This is gonna be terrible. Oh, yep, misunderstanding of scientific method. Let me put that real quick, and then we'll get on to the Flintstones transvestigation. Misunderstanding of the scientific method. Oh, this one's gonna hurt. This one's gonna be so dumb. I'm already taking psychic damage. Give me a sec. Ah, okay.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Wretched Recess. On my channel, the primary focus is weird stuff they make for kids. And before we talk about this being a man in a dress, if you're enjoying my content, please hit subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me, and thank
Same
you to
for
my
me.
subscribers. Okay,
Subscribe,
let's get
follow, etc.
into it. All right, guys, so this is a
that's Hannah puts her head in her hands.
theory or a conspiracy theory that I have just been thinking
She should yabba dabba don't.
about lately, and I'm just starting to dip my
Toreador with 50 bits says, I can solve this before it even starts. Flintstones is commonly misclassified as metamorphic rock, but it's actually a sedimentary rock. Bam, not trans. Common misattribution. Zytam, thanks for a whole year of subscription. Happy anniversary.
toes into it, but I got excited to talk about it because there's a lot of weird stuff about the Flintstones, and I've just been trying to see like what else I could find, and I'm ready to share some of these things, and then we can talk about even more stuff. You guys are great. You're always finding even more details, and it's so fun to talk about. So there's problems right on down the row here. So let me mention a few of like the biggest things that I've found. First of all, when I was little, those swirls in Wilma's hair always, I don't know
She's gonna pull up the fake FBI pedophile symbol thing.
if they bothered me, but they always captured my attention, and I thought they were very strange. Like, it seemed like a very specific and intentional way of drawing her hair. Know
Yeah, that's the character design. It is intentional.
what I'm saying? So we see two there in her hair at the top and on the side.
There it is. I called it. I haven't seen this video. I just know these people.
Honestly, I'm just coming in hot. Let's just talk about pedo stuff right off the bat.
This is a very healthy, normal person.
This is the pedo FBI recognized pedo symbol for.
It is not. I have covered this many times. This is a thing that circulated in conspiracy circles. This has never been an actual FBI thing. This is a thing some assholes on 4chan threw together to fuck with conspiracy theorists.
Little boy lover. And we see this same exact symbol in Wilma's hair. And we're going to see it again on one of the other characters in just a bit. Something else interesting about Wilma is...
Where does the character design come from? It comes from here? Oh god, what is it? Oh yeah, the honeymooners.
He's a troublemaker.
Yep. Yeah, the Flintstones is just the honeymooners, but in caveman times, for those that don't know.
That might be a...
Inspector Gadget is also just Get Smart, but with a cyborg man. Like, down to having the same voice actor that was Maxwell Smart. So.
Stone necklace, but it's very, looks just like a pearl necklace that we've seen on so many of the other people we've discussed on this channel. The male to females are always wearing pearl necklaces. And we've noticed that was a thing. Thank you so much to
Oh no, she's using the Google AI garbage that tells you to put glue on pizza. Oh god.
my subscribers. I will go back and look through my comments so I can give you a shout out in the description.
The curls in her hair are called oyster can curls, and they're very common.
Of this video.
They were very common.
Leave a comment below if this was you, who said that oysters are basically hermaphrodites. And look at this. It says, so they have both male and female reproductive organs. That's a hermaphrodite, right?
That's not the preferred nomenclature.
And they change gender during their lives. This says most oysters start life as males and become females after about a year, but they can change gender multiple times. That is so crazy. So
wow, it's almost like sex isn't this like crazy hard thing where it's one or the other. It's almost like it's bimodal. Weird.
Oysters have both...
She's using gender and sex interchangeably. It's not correct, but it is how she speaks.
Male and female sex organs at the same time. So is that why all of these male to females are always wearing pearl necklaces, from first ladies to, we saw it on Barbara Billingsley and my Leave It to Beaver. It's just about all of the male to females. We see them wearing pearl necklaces a lot. So Wilma, so far you're a hermaphrodite and you have pedo swirls all over your hair. And what else do you guys know?
Spurious symbology is evidence on the bingo card.
About this interesting photo. I see
God, she had depraved ambiance.
Her doing the M symbol that we've seen so many times.
I gotta set the settings for the chat filter to be less intense. I set them higher a while back, and I think they're too intense. I gotta drop them back down a bit, because the auto mod thing catches shit that it's like, it's fine.
And that's for like Mason, like Freemason, like hand symbols there. Super shady, and we're only like 3 minutes in. I always thought Fred and Barney had like really interesting shaped bodies. Notice that they're plumper.
Oh my god, is she gonna say that Fred Flintstone has birthing hips?
Notice that their legs and cankles are, they have cankles.
They are animated characters with a specific style. They are not meant to be anatomically accurate human beings. This is just not how cartoons work. Toreador says rubs hands together. Yes, lower the intensity level. Media is evil on the bingo card. A piece of media, television, movie is evil.
A little bit cut off in this picture, but they're very strangely drawn, right? They're a little shorter and plumper than their wives. The wives are skinny. They have lean limbs, lean legs, skinny ankles, kind of like we see on all of the male to females, right? So are Fred and Barney transgender. I mean, they are cartoons, guys, but they are very famous cartoons. So don't let the fact that they're cartoons fool you. They can't put anything regular on TV. So I think you know where I'm going with this. Also, shout out to my subscriber, Adam, who always points out orange stuff is a big sign of Freemasonry and occult
Freemasons on the bingo card.
stuff a lot in orange. Adam, if you could let us know exactly the meaning of that, but Fred is wearing orange, and I wanted to give Adam a shout out because now I look for orange. So yeah, that's Wilma and Betty. Guys, I've got so much more. Let's keep going.
Does she understand it's supposed to be like a tiger? It's supposed to be the pelt of like a big cat, like a saber-tooth something, like a saber-tooth leopard or something. It's a cartoon. It's supposed to be like skins from an animal. Rockagam says, Hannah, you're covered in Freemasonry. I know. Isn't it nice?
As I was Googling Flintstone weirdness, I came across an internet comment that said, did anybody ever notice that Wilma's mom looks like a man? This one actually might be Fred's mom. They both look like men. I'm going to show you both of them right now. Here's Wilma's mom with the pedo swirl in her hair also. So that was passed down. That's in their DNA, I guess, to get pedo swirls in their hair. This person cracks me up.
It's a resemblance, so you can tell that they're related, because it's a cartoon and they have simple designs, so you need something to convey that they look similar.
Notice...
That's just a character design thing. Usually when you have a cartoon with relatively simple designs, and then you have a parent or something show up, there's some very obvious thing that's the same between the two, so you go, they're related.
This person also has pearl earrings, a pearl necklace, and you guys are going to try and say it's rocks, but it isn't. This person's name is Pearl. Pearls come from oysters, and oysters are hermaphrodites. This whole show is messed up, guys.
The show's messed up.
This is Pearl Slaghoople. And Pearl... So Pearl has pedo swirls in her hair. She's wearing pearl earrings and a pearl necklace. And those shoulders are very broad and they're wider than her hips. Now, the interesting thing to me is they made the moms of Wilma and Fred have similar bodies to Fred and Barney. Like, you know, they're like plumper and they're heavier, but they have very manly faces. You know, there's nothing feminine about this person. Remove the jewelry and the pink dress, right? And this is like not a woman. Oh my gosh. From head to toe, this person is problematic, right? I think the biggest takeaway for me here was that this person's name is Pearl, and pearls come from oysters that are hermaphrodites. Classic Flintstones. Great job. What is it, Hanna-Barbera or something? Yeah. Very nice job, guys.
It is one of the most famous cartoons of all time, so yes, actually, unironically, nice job, Hanna-Barbera. Also, thanks for Scooby-Doo, one of the greatest long-running franchises of all time.
We also need to take a look at Pebbles and...
I don't just dress like Velma. I own most of the series of Scooby-Doo on DVD and... Oh, fuck! Hannah mentions Blu-ray on the bingo card. That wasn't on purpose. I'm just full of shit. I'm just so... It's so in my head, the stuff. I own most of Scooby-Doo on Blu-ray or DVD. She hasn't covered Scooby-Doo yet. Believe me, I'd be all over it.
Bam Bam. I didn't dig too much into like these fan sites, but I did notice somebody said Pebbles was supposed to be a boy.
So I have the Scrappy episodes. I have the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo that he's in. I don't have the Scooby-Doo Scrappy-Doo Hour.
Or something, and
which
it was
one of the ones that he was on. They also did a show where it was part Scooby-Doo with Scrappy-Doo, part was Richie Rich. I don't have that one.
Girls, so that's probably just another sign for us, but take note of Bam Bam's caveman club there. What do you see? Oh, is it the same exact pedoswirl design as in Wilma's hair and the
It's literally supposed to be wood grain. Because it's a club made of wood. It's wood grain.
mom's hair? You bet it is. So that's how we know we're not being paranoid here.
That's how we know.
Just-
We know we're not paranoid because I see it everywhere.
Just as a refresher, this is our little swirl. Now, I would say call me crazy,
You're crazy.
but being that we already see the pedo logo here, I don't think I'm crazy. I always thought, even when I was younger watching this, that like Pebbles was, I didn't have the language or the vocabulary for this when I was younger.
You should read Junji Ito's Uzumaki. I don't think she should. I think she'd go insane. Toreador says it's called a motif, you plebeian.
Don't you think she was like very highly sexualized, like a very...
I give up. I quit. I quit. I quit. I quit. I quit. This lady needs a psychiatrist yesterday.
very sexualized baby. Like, look at this.
Oh, come on, lady. What are you doing? Lennon Cat says Wilma has a 1950s hairdo. That's all. There's a link. Yeah.
She was always crawling around like this and like batting her eyelashes, like goo goo gaga. Like Pebbles always bothered me. Highly sexualized child, in my opinion. Look at
Harold Elbelman says oysters live in beds and grow in stacks. The top oyster is always male and the bottom one's female. They spawn in the water column. Jizz everywhere and hope for the best. It's my strategy too. If an immature oyster lands on another and starts building its shell, then the bottom oyster transitions and the top one stays male. Also remember, oyster anatomy is weird. Their hearts are basically tiny sphincters that only work because of the shells. Delicious, but very alien. And Toreador says, I hate myself, but must post all puns that pop into my head. God, yeah. Fucking hell, man.
the way they those might be fan drawings. But yeah, she always creeped me out a little bit just because of how suggestive I thought they made her. And if you agree with that, let me know. Or if you don't agree with it, you can let me know that also. And well, that brings us to Edna
mom.
Flintstone. This is Fred's mom.
I own the Flintstones on Blu-ray too.
Edna also has on her pearls, can't forget the pearls here. And this just looks like Fred with lipstick.
Yeah, this is vibes-based conspiracy.
Lipstick, pretty much, but it is kind of like...
Yes, furry symbology.
Were they blurring lines intentionally by... They gave these moms the same bodies as Fred and Barney, but they just look like total men in makeup. So, yeah, this is Edna Flintstone looking super feminine here. It just looks like a man with lipstick, right? And the pearls are telling us everything we need to know, I feel like. And let's not forget, this is like my golden moment here of the video. That
yeah, not how women work. I mean, it's a cartoon though. But yeah, let's go not how women work for her weird standards. Senekagami says, speaking of pearls, here's some cleanse information. In Batman Caped Crusader, which I recommend, Dr. Harleen Quinzel is introduced as Bruce's therapist for court-ordered anger management after he decked a guy who victim-blamed his mother while admiring the necklace she wore the night of her death that Bruce donated. I love what they did with Harleen. Joker's not even been introduced yet, and they took her character as a good direction. Same with Batman. I watched the first episode, and it didn't really click with me. Maybe I'll try again. There was nothing particularly wrong with it. It was just like, I just didn't I don't know. Feel it.
But Fred and Barney were basically part of a
I saw Ryan Cooper. I actually pulled that up. I got a Discord notification that you added me, and it's very cute.
secret group for all men, right? The Loyal Order of the Water Buffaloes was the
It's just supposed to be a men's club, like the Moose or Shriners. Like, it's supposed to be a take on that. It's supposed to be like that.
name of their like little organization, Loyal Order of the Water Buffaloes,
The
and
Elks,
this
yeah. Any of these organizations.
was basically like a Masonic lodge that they went to with all men and had rituals and secret words and passwords to get in. Yeah, guys, this whole cartoon is a super, to me, in my opinion, big shout out to like Freemasonry. Just look at this. They're even doing the Freemason handshake, right? Or something similar.
They're
I don't
just
even
shaking hands. They're just shaking hands normally.
think they have 5 fingers, but they're doing something like it. I'll just show you a couple of photos, and let's not forget here that they always have to make jokes in our face. I think one time, I think I remember this episode where Wilma and Betty try to disguise
Yeah,
themselves.
they wanted to sneak in, so they dressed as men. So in her head, she thinks they're secretly trans and dressing as men. Or it's like some kind of, what's that movie? Glenn Close, I think. Victor Victoria?
With a mustache to get into the lodge and, attend the meeting and everything. The joke being that they're probably actually men, right? Because all this stuff is super twisted. Is he doing the satanic pose right there with like, is that a
Is this a satanic pose? Okay. Stone Corbell says, were Freemasons and other men's clubs just so common in the 50s and 60s that the whole conspiracy to control the world thing hadn't caught on yet? Or has that always been a thing? Honestly, I don't know enough to give you an answer. I wish I did. I think it was probably more common and people knew people who were in the club, so it was less that. But I don't really know. I don't.
skull,
Yeah, this is satanic on the bingo card.
Barney? I'm disappointed, Barney Rubble. That looks a little
He's a fictional character, so your disappointment means nothing to him because he's not a him or a her or a they. Just not a person. Just an idea in our collective heads from watching the cartoon. Oh yeah, she means the Baphomet pose, which I think is like this. I don't remember which hand it is, but I think it's 2 fingers and a thumb. Satanism on the bingo card for those that were on the ad break. An ad break just finished. Satanism on the bingo card.
suspect also. All right, guys, I found a group called the Midnight Freemasons. This website I'm on is midnightfreemasons.org if you're interested. And guess what, guys? They have a whole article about the Flintstones. So these Freemasons recognize the symbolism they saw in the Flintstones also. Of course, I did a Google search to see if anybody
So you found another conspiracy person. Congrats.
else was onto this, and they were. So here this caption says, shortly after inventing the wheel, ancient Freemasons invented the goofy hat. So they're acknowledging that this is a Freemason thing, and you can
Humans have goofy hats. It's one of the things we're really good at is coming up with really silly hats. Genuinely, look into human history and the plethora of weird, funny hats we've invented. So many. All hats are funny when it comes down to it. You're putting something on your head. And I think that's inherently funny to do.
I'm not going to read this whole article to you. Go on freemasons.org and you can read this article by Todd E. Creason. And the article is Fred Flintstone, Freemason or Not.
Hats off.
Spoiler alert, this author comes to the
What do you want me to wear? Griffin Doggo for the hats off command.
conclusion.
Whatever fits the vibe. Ooh, where's my detective hat? Velma makes sense with a detective hat, but I don't know if I have it nearby. Okay, I'll do cat ears, because I can't find my detective hat. The deerstalker cap.
That Fred Flintstone was a Freemason, because I guess there's arguments online about it, and a Freemason is telling us that yes, he was. Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, they were members. Okay, he gives us even more detail. Water Buffalo Lodge number 26 in Bedrock, AM.
Gitara says, based on her logic, everyone who's ever worn a maid outfit in fiction or in real history is a member of the Temple of Paul. Well, that's just true. Toreador says, Midnight Masons was the first name idea they came up for what is now the Prince Hall Order of Masons. Ayo. I don't get it.
Ancient Freemasons. Interesting. And like, I just love to dig, guys. I can't believe this is my hobby, but it's actually super fun. Here we have Fred and Barney wearing Freemason aprons.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone drew those on because or that this is fan art because they're slightly off model. So I think this might be a fan art someone did. It's fine. They look not quite right. I don't think this appeared in the show or anything. I think that's fan art.
Where have you seen that same exact design before? And by the way, this is on eBay if you want it. This is like a little pin of them in Freemason aprons for $5 on eBay. Well, that's the Gmail logo. It's a Masonic apron, right?
The Gmail logo.
So they're saying how it used to look, and this is the new design, but this was always
Gmail logo looks like an envelope because it's email.
Representative of a Freemason apron, like Fred and Barney are wearing. Now, just like on my videos, the real gold is in the comment sections where these people are having a conversation, these other people who belong to this website who are Freemasons, and check this out. Of course, he was a stone mason, Flintstones, stone mason.
He's not a stone mason. He worked at a quarry. Working at a quarry doesn't make you a stone mason. Those are completely different things. What? A mason isn't someone who works at a quarry? Oh my god. Fenakagami says, I understand being put off with the new series. Batman's character comes off pretty stunted in the beginning. It takes until the Harleen episode to start getting what they're going for. No spoilers. Here's a more poorly adjusted... He's a more poorly adjusted and a bit more unhinged Batman, but he still has the gentleness about him from the OG animated series. I think judging by what I've seen, Batman's journey is to become more human as time goes on, rather than start more human and struggle to keep that humanity. Okay, I'll give it another shot. Stone Corbell says, oh no, my name has stone in it. That means I'm in on the conspiracy. I didn't even know it. How deep does the conspiracy go?
He even worked at a quarry. Yabba dabba do. I wish I could find the detailed karma comment. The detailed comment where somebody said yabba dabba do is actually like something of like a spell, like yabba dabba do. It like that has some meaning to it. You know what I mean? Like everything is intentional. Nothing is an accident or a coincidence. So that yabba dabba do has some kind of like meaning. And there was also some other password they had to say to get into the lodge, like rack a cat cack or something. I can't find it anymore, but I came across a lot of stuff as I was kind of researching for this video. And like I said, I just kind of was like dipping my toes into this, but I feel like I actually came up with kind of a lot. Okay, I didn't feel right leaving you with like information that wasn't correct. The password to the Water Buffalo Lodge was Ak-Ak-a-Dak. And I really wish I could find the meaning of yabba dabba do, but it was something. That's weird. You know what else is weird? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Like, I bet you that's a whole big satanic spell. These words are probably very intentional, right? Not that that was Flintstones, but it's another from another very famous, movie. There's a Flintstones fandom, like wiki page. I never know how to say that. Wiki page.
If it isn't called Rockopedia, what are they even doing? What are they even doing?
And if you want to read more about the Loyal Order of the Buffaloes, there's a whole page on them. But I feel like I've covered quite a bit, and I'm just getting started with this whole conspiracy. But we talked about pedo stuff, we talked about hermaphrodites, we talked about Freemasons. So whew, that's a lot for one session here of a cartoon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know you're going to have comment gold for me, so leave your comments below and we'll have a conversation, and I hope everyone's doing well. We'll get back to live streaming this week, and if you're enjoying my content and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot, and I'll see you guys. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. I'm so sorry. I have to talk about the theme song for a second.
Catalina Gearbox says, I put a spell on Yabba Dabba Doo, and Overthought says, the only hellish thing about about Mary Poppins was Dick Van won't let me type it English accent. That's funny, it won't let you type it. You telling me he wasn't a perfect Cockney?
I knew there was something I was leaving
train.
out. I'm so glad I remembered here. Okay, so it starts off with the Yabba Dabba Doo, and it's, you know, Flintstones meet the Flintstones. They're the modern Stone Age family.
Is she not oh my god, is she not going to understand the joke of modern Stone Age family? Does she not get it? Does she not get it?
Not take credit for thinking of this. Somewhere as I was Googling, there's a website that talks about some guy was questioning modern Stone Age family.
Oh, god damn it.
And his theory is that this is a post...
Emma Not Emma with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much.
Okay,
so
and
generous of you. Thank you. Getting decent super chats today on YouTube. I really appreciate it.
Actually recent. I wanted to give him credit. Nathan Gibson, if you come across my video, I'm giving you some credit here. He thinks that the Flintstones actually took place in a post-apocalyptic hellscape.
I mean, this is a fan theory that's been going around basically since the Flintstones met the Jetsons. This isn't even original. I feel like a Cracked.com article covered this like in the early 2000s.
And that's why it says modern Stone Age family.
No, it's a joke about the modern family, because in the 1950s you have a cultural movement called modernism, so everything was modern, everything was new, the new American family, the nuclear family, so they're a modern Stone Age family in the sense that they are a Stone Age family, but their world is that of the 60s. It's just Stone Age. So it's modern in the sense of modernism, in the sense of the era that was made in, but they're from the Stone Age.
That's
Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs and kicking off a hype train.
actually brilliant, right? Modern Stone Age. So it's not the past Stone Age, it's a new Stone Age.
That's not what it means. That's not what it means at all.
This is on ranker.com. If you just type in like ranker.com.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Flintstones apocalypse fan theory.
85% to level 3 on the hype train.
Hopefully that's okay with him that I'm mentioning this. But he's got some interesting stuff about the Flintstones and Jetsons. And I just thought that was very brilliant. That word modern now, you know, that always kind of stood out. Like, what does that mean? Modern Stone Age. Well, he's saying it's in a post-apocalyptic world. This article also goes on to talk about the Jetsons and the Flintstones having a crossover. Like the Jetsons are from the future and the Flintstones are from the past. Maybe I'll have to interview him on this channel. That might be fun. To get him involved. Let me know what you think. But, okay, yeah, I wanted to talk about that. And let's not forget, they told us we'll have a gay old time. And
thinks they mean gay, like gay. Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for 13 months and getting us over level 3 of the hype train.
I know back
Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub. Thank you for the gift subs, people. Gift subs help a lot, so thank you.
then in the 60s when this was made, people
Yeah, fuck it. Gay agenda on the bingo card. Yep.
used the word gay a lot more commonly for like happy or, pleasant.
Yeah, Don, your gay apparel. Fa la 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 la.
Cheerful, but gosh, with this show, you just don't know. There's a lot of other strange stuff and agendas and all kinds of conspiracies going on.
Are there? Almost Undying with 40 bits says bits for the bits god. Thank you. Nom nom.
Let's not even say conspiracies. It's kind of just truth jumping out at us, right?
Is it? Is it that?
So, I hope you had a gay old time during this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
So you get it then you know!
Thanks so much for watching. I kind of made this a little bit on a whim. I got excited for all of the stuff I was finding, and I'm glad I did. I think this was a lot of fun. All right, see you in the next video. For real this time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Very normal. Very normal stuff. Sheesh. Okay, let's take a look at the bingo card because she gave us a ton. She gave us a ton. We are still on the hype train. Keep it going. 34% at level 4. Let's see. Illuminati, Freemasons, Cabal. That's not how women work. Popular media is evil. Let's see. We have... Satanic? Hannah puts her head in her hands. Transphobia, transvestigation, obviously. Incorrect word origin is evidence for the gay thing. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. Ooh, Orion Cooper got a bingo. Can you post... Oh, how are you going to do this? Can you post your bingo card in the live stream chat on Discord or in the Twitch chat? Either one. Because YouTube doesn't let you post links. Vibes-based conspiracy. Spurious symbology is evidence. Gay agenda. I think that's it. Anything else? Minute left on the hype train. Let me go into the Discord to see if Orion Cooper did that. Not yet. Alright, let me know if and when you do. I also don't know what to do when people win bingo on YouTube. Because I can't gift memberships to specific people on YouTube. So what do I do? I can only gift subs to specific people on Twitch. 40 seconds left on the hype train. Trevor, thanks for gifting 3 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 4 and saving the hype train. Incredible, thank you. Appreciate all the subs today, everyone. Thank you muchly. Let's see what we're gonna watch next while I wait and see what's going on with Orion. I have an Eric Dubé video, but Eric Dubé just kind of sucks too, so... I'll try this one.
Just want to quickly show you how illogical the space industry is. So we've got China now launching the first batch of their G60 constellation satellites. So essentially they're starting a new satellite program. We've got 18 satellites on this rocket, apparently.
Can't copy from PC to Discord on your phone? Do you not have Discord on your PC? Because I can only do any... I don't even... First of all, I don't know what I'm going to do, just because I haven't figured this out. Yeah, sure. Take a picture with your phone and post the photo. That works. Wait, was there AI? I didn't see AI. This is computer generated. It's not AI.
So the first phase of this constellation consists of nearly 1,300 satellites, okay? 18 per rocket. We're up to 72 launches so far.
There it is. Let me take a look at that. Anna puts head in hands, gay agenda, free space, spurious symbology, and misunderstanding of the scientific method. That's a bingo win. That's a bingo win, Orion Cooper. Okay, so we gotta figure out what we're gonna do about this. Let me see, where's the pen? Where's my list? There's. Maybe just gift membership on YouTube randomly when a winner wins. Just do random? Alright. Can do. Thank you for understanding. I don't know if I have a payment method hooked up. Let's see if I can. How do I even gift a membership on YouTube? I don't know how to do it. Fuck. Okay. YouTube.com. Gotta go to my own stream. Channel. Twitch works too. I'm gonna try this first. Go to my own stream. Ah, it's me. I hate that. Okay. Now, do I go to chat and do... What do I do? Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Next to the cache, it's the cache looking thing. There we go. There we go. Okay. One membership. Hold on, let me change this because I want to make sure it's not going to like have my information or anything while I do it. Yeah. See, that was smart. I'm glad I took it off the screen while I did that. Oh god, what's my oh god, what's the number? I hope it's this. Okay, I'm having trouble with it. You said in the future I will make sure that I'm ready for YouTube, but I gotta do it on Twitch this time because I'm in the middle of a stream and I just gotta get this done and I can't figure this out right now and hook up my payment method. So I'm gonna do a gift sub on Twitch. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for the hype train also, everyone.
And strangely enough, is to provide services that are already up and running here on Earth, whether it be through land towers or underground cables. Or
What about Bob? Thanks for gifting a membership on YouTube. Wait, is it not? There we go.
sea cables. So, can you not see the obvious problem here already? It should be obvious by now anyway. But think about this. This new satellite program up and running. We're already up to 72
So that's our bingo winner of the day. The official one. We'll still play bingo for fun.
launches for the first phase, okay? But to provide services that we can
Yes, he believes space is fake.
get here on Earth far cheaper and easier to maintain. Hello?
Yeah, in rural areas, you need wireless internet because it costs a lot of money to do the lines and the companies don't do them.
And the plan is to have 10,000 of these G60 satellites, which would be over 500 launches. I think it's 555 launches to provide those 10,000 so-called satellites, which is nonsense in itself. Bear with me. This is an illustration of the space debris problem from last year, okay? So why would you be contributing to this nonsense by adding another
Money, capitalism,
10,000 things in so-called orbit?
and they're also working on things to try and clean up this issue. Satellites that go up there and basically get scrap and like stuff and grab satellites that like are past their usage and can pull them and deorbit them safely.
Just to do the things that you can do here on Earth far cheaper, far easier, far more reliable, easier to maintain. I mean, how ridiculous, how illogical
I
is
always
this
like that flat earthers think they know better than everyone and don't even take 5 seconds to look into maybe why someone would be doing something like this.
space industry gone? Is it just because I can see clearly now? But to me, it's just ludicrous. It's ridiculous. And when I speak to people about this, no one can justify it in a logical fashion. Even space believing friends, don't have many, admittedly, but the few I
Sure,
do,
it's more expensive to lay the thousands and thousands of miles of cable than it is to do this. There's your answer.
even admit all of this is ridiculous. And it's getting so illogical now. They are starting to see the cracks showing. The cracks were showing in the last video I did, where you saw so-called astronauts getting less and less convincing. But then we got China going to supply 10,000 satellites, bearing in mind, they say these satellites are orbiting a globe, which is impossible. They say these satellites are in a vacuum, again, which is impossible.
Both of those things are true and not impossible. Space is a vacuum.
Given the story attached to that, a globe Earth air pressure rock residing in a vacuum without solid separation. Already,
Gravity holds the atmosphere to the Earth.
it's all nonsense anyway. And then you look at the claims.
Can we watch Buzz Aldrin punch a flat earther next? Can you give me the link?
They're illogical.
I know I've seen it, but it'll be quicker if you give me the link.
Why would you contribute to this mess on our screen when you can do the services that you're so-called supplying via those satellites far easier, far better here on Earth? And the infrastructure is already in place in most
Except it's not. That's the point, is that it's not. That's why they're doing this instead. This is the infrastructure they're building out.
of the places. Just in the rural areas where you haven't got the services, land towers and cables, which if they're going to add extra service, is going to be provided via that route anyway. Now, let's just go back to the video. Crazy. The only reason they do that is to try and desperately now push this globe lie. It's gotten so desperate, so obvious, so ridiculous that they have to go to such ridiculous lengths with all these rockets and all these claims of satellite constellations that the lengths they're going to now are illogical based on the overall stories they've told. The space debris and basically how reality presents itself to us. This has gotten ridiculous. Have we got any more? Oh, so it would seem these Chinese satellites are going to provide these internet services to Europe. Oh, that's very nice of you.
I mean, potentially?
But I think you're forgetting something. There's already an internet infrastructure in Europe already via
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there aren't rural areas that aren't serviced. Like, there are rural areas in Europe.
Towers and underground cables, etc. Hello? How ridiculous does this have to get? If any services are being implemented in the future, it's obviously not coming from space, is it? It's coming from towers and cables that will be put up. But this has just gotten so silly, so illogical, and so ridiculous at this point in time. You've got to be pretty, I don't wish to be rude, you've got to be pretty dull not to see it now. Have a good one, everyone.
Jesus. All right, let's see what's next. Gosh, I have a lot of stuff pulled up today. That's creepy, but we already watched a video by him today. That's long. Let's try a few of these. These are short. So let's watch a few of them. This is someone's BitChute channel. Killuminati. Wait, is this the right one? Okay. There we go. Oh yeah, BitChute. BitChute changed their thing again, which makes it off-center again. So let me change from this one to this one.
Once you begin to see how words and terms and symbols are used, and the powers that be in this world have set up a world of symbols and emblems and terms and catchphrases. Once you understand how this system works, for the first time, the world opens up to you. All of it is right in front of you. But if you don't understand what the words are and what the words mean, you're never going to figure out how this stuff works.
Is this going to be a sovereign citizen thing? Because this is feeling Sov City.
There's a very sinister, frightening, interesting symbolism that has been imposed upon this country.
By druids?
And the people have no idea in the world what's going on. And I will guarantee you, no matter how educated you might think you are, I will guarantee you, you have no idea in the world how the world actually works.
Funny, they don't look
You
Druish.
need to understand that when even on your check, when you're writing a check, the place where you put your
Spaceballs.
name on a check, look at that line, what you're signing on, and get a magnifying glass, and you will find that's not a solid line to sign your name on. That is written, it's a typewritten sentence that's been honed down to microscopic size. Get a magnifying glass and read on a check.
That's a security feature, not hidden. That's a security feature so they can detect counterfeit checks.
What is said where you sign your name.
It's like on money, there are things that are very tiny too, and you need to be able to see them. That's a security feature because it's difficult to replicate. Yeah, these are short ones. This channel just has a lot of little short videos.
You say that the latest human quest is immortality and divinity. We're all trying to be superhumans. Is that actually happening?
Yes, in places like Silicon Valley, equality is out, but immortality is in. Everybody's talking about immortality. Google has just established 2 or 3 years ago a sub-company called Calico, whose stated aim is to solve the problem of death. We've solved search, now we'll
I'm guessing that's gonna end up like Stadia.
solve death. And they are not the only ones. And basically they are saying death is not some metaphysical phenomenon. We don't have to wait for the second coming of Christ in order to solve it. A couple of geeks in a laboratory can do it.
Are they doing it?
Yeah, they are investing billions in that.
I hate
Not only
tech
them,
bros.
but all over the world. Basically, there are 3 ways. You can use biological engineering to change the human body, to speed up natural selection. You can use cyborg engineering, which is combining organic with inorganic parts. and you can create completely inorganic life forms. It will be not only the greatest revolution in history, it will be the greatest revolution in biology ever.
Will we still be human?
Not in the sense that we understand humanity today.
God, I hate tech bros. You just have no idea. Lennon Cat says humans are trying to prevent death. Gasp! Has anyone told scientists, alchemists, and physicians throughout literally all of history?
I would like shortly to warn people from upcoming danger for humanity. The World Health Organization wants all countries to sign an agreement on handing over the authority to declare a pandemic, procure vaccine and drugs. It will be healthier and safer for humans.
Gotcha. They want to centralize pandemic response, and I'm assuming conspiracy theorists are horrified by that, right? Germ theory. Oh god, is this an anti-germ theory person? That happens occasionally, unfortunately.
The germ theory is complete BS.
You can get a microscope.
They injected people with all kinds of germs and they never got sick.
Okay, I'm gonna get a big syringe of botulism. I want you to directly insert it into your penis. Is that okay, sir? Can I inject some botulism into your penis?
Hundreds or thousands of people. That doesn't even work. A virus doesn't even exist. What they call a virus is a detoxification process. If the cell is toxic, it cleanses itself. It builds it back, throws it back out so that it gets out of the cell. Modern medicine looks at this, or the scientist, and says, oh, there's all these bags. What are all these bags? And now we are doctors. We need to know what they are. So if we tell them we don't know what they are, they don't believe us anymore. So we come up with something and say that's a virus, which of course, you know, it means poison. Of course it's poison because the cell just detoxified itself. What?
Well, that guy's a moron. Jesus.
You may call them whatever you wish. The Order of the Quest, the Jason Society, the Roshaniya, the Kabbalah, the Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of Columbus, the Jesuit, the Mason.
These things are different things.
The ancient and mystical order of Rosicrucians, the
Rosicrucians,
Illuminati, the Nazi Party, the Communist Party, the Executive.
Famously, the Nazis and the Soviet Union got along excellent. That's sound historical research.
Members of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Group, the Brotherhood of the Dragon, the Rosicrucians, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, the Open Friendly Secret Society of the Vatican, the Russell Trust, the Skull and Bow, the Scroll and Key, the Order. They are all the same, and all work toward the same ultimate goal, a new world order. Those who...
Jeez. Okay, let's move on. Something more substantive, insofar as any conspiracy can be substantive, I guess. Try this. AI wrote all of history is the title of this one.
we get the weirdest reoccurring names here, which we have shown a lot. How the AI can't come up with different names. It basically takes like 3 names and scrambles them. It's actually...
This guy's noticing people throughout history sometimes have similar names, ergo, history is fake and written by AI, that again, AI in terms of language learning or large language models, this sort of predictive text stuff that you get with ChatGPT, these have only existed at this level for like 3 years publicly, 2 years maybe? That's not how this works.
Actually bizarre. It's very weird. Episode 43 is my favorite example of this with the Fredericks. But here we get the architects, Charles Henry Page and Louis Charles Page. So we get Charles Page and Louis Charles Page. That's fine, they can be brothers. But we know the reoccurring names at this point, and know that this is not an accident. And we know what's really going on here. The mom and dad didn't put Charles...
Boy, wait until he hears about the name Muhammad. It's gonna blow his fucking mind.
The one kid's name, and Charles for the other kid's middle name. It's a clear mix-up by the AI. And then calling them brothers. And to drive this home, if you're on the fence, this is the 4th courthouse on this site. And this one was thrown together by the Charles Page twins in less than a year. Over 110 years ago. From 1913 to 1914. Still trusting the narrative? Or should we go...
Yes, people have similar names sometimes.
Deeper. The first Anderson County Courthouse, a 1-story frame structure, was built in 1847. It was replaced, supposedly, 9 years later. And this type of thing was simple in the 1800s. Building courthouses back then with a horse and a wagon with no power tools was simple stuff. It was very easy.
It wasn't simple, but it was something that needed to be done, so they paid people to do it.
So a 3rd courthouse, also brick, was completed in 1886, only 30 years later. But you guessed it, was, of course...
30 years is how long I've been alive, and you're acting like it's like the next week.
destroyed by a fire in 1913. We're clearly at the point where we are proving time and time again that we have been told a massive lie, and that none of the mainstream history is or ever has been telling the truth. Again, using facts and real logistics and common sense.
Real logistics. Explain to me the logistics process you're going through here, because logistics isn't just a word you throw in your sentences to make them spicy. Like, it has a meaning. You can't just say you're using logistics when in reality you're looking at names and going, those are similar. That's not logistics.
This fire supposedly happens in 1913. This is what they're telling us. And then somehow clean this brick building up, get it out of the way, get all of the new materials to the site, and knock this new courthouse out in less than a year. And it's here forever. This is insane to believe at this point. That isn't even close to a real timeline. And we're not done with Texas today. Let's go over to the Fort Bend County Courthouse and see what they have going on over there. Since, of course, we have these very real twin Charles Page brothers, pinned as the architects of that one too. A brick, classical revival-style masterpiece that also stands the test of time. And if you thought that last one was an eye-opener...
Doesn't understand architecture on the bingo card. I like that it even says it's a classical revival, like a neoclassical type thing. And he's like... it's nefarious. It must be like Tartarian or something. Like, they're literally telling him that this is a revival of an old style of architecture, and he still doesn't get it?
Hold on to your seats, because this is the...
I'm genuinely impressed by conspiracy theorists' ability to read something and just ignore the parts that completely blow what they think out of the water. It's incredible.
5th courthouse in this county, which began in 18...
This is the same guy, I think, that thought the architects did the construction.
37. The structure was designed by these Page twins and all wrapped up in 1909. So from 1908 to 1909, less than a year, they got this thing done. And that's, of course, not the weirdest part, because, of course, there is more. Because we need to figure out why there's been 5 courthouses here in this town. So the 1887 courthouse, one of the 5 that were here prior, had a clock tower, but they removed that shortly after the building was done. Which makes sense, if you're trying to hide the past civilization's work. This courthouse
They weren't trying to hide it. I assume the clock just didn't work or something.
stood on Morton Street, where the current town hall sits. And you guessed it again, it burned down in 1930. Did you think that was where I was going to stop? Well, here on TexasCourthouses.com, I found all 5 of these supposed previous courthouses, and I want to know where they all went. Not just one of them. The first one, in 1842, gone, lost to erosion. Here's the second one. Building completion date, 18...
Does he understand that the vast majority of buildings ever built are gone? Like, that's how buildings work, is you use them for a while, and then either they last long enough that they can be torn down because they just aren't livable anymore, or something happens and they burn down, or a natural disaster happens, or they degrade to the point that they need to be torn down for safety reasons. They're buildings. Entropy exists. Natural disasters exist. Fires exist. No building lasts forever. Lennon Cat says, why did my town hall rebuild the courthouse after the last one burned down? Must be a conspiracy.
1971. Present status, gone. Burned down in 1887. So we know that this exact same courthouse has multiple fire stories, because we already know that courthouse number 3, built in 1887, also burned down in 1930.
Yeah, fires used to be much more common because people were using fires for light constantly and for heat, and people had oil lamps and oil around to fill the oil lamps, which is a fucking accelerant.
A fire. Oh, and remember.
And they didn't know about the miracle material of asbestos. That's right, asbestos. Get it in your lungs today.
And we were told that the clock tower was removed shortly after the building was done. Well, now we're being told that it was conveniently blown away in the wind. Come on, narrator. Get your story straight. Oh, and just for fun, courthouse number 2 was $7,500. So courthouse number 4, just throw another 0 on the end of the same exact repeating number of 75.
Yeah, sometimes numbers are similar, man.
Unbelievable stuff. Between building projects that take less than a year, over and over, to the same names, and all of the old world buildings, somehow, randomly, without any backstory as to how it happened, going up in flames. Brick buildings, when we know that brick does not burn down from house fires. This is a lie, and has been right in our faces, and all we had to do was look. It is incredible. Oh, and one more thing about these 2 Charles Page twins.
Harold Edelman says, fun fact, Hannah, after Katrina painted a long black line about 4 to 5 feet up on every building around my alma mater, the president called in a photo op to say we were coming right back in front of a perfectly clean main building, even though it still reeked of mold and had no power. You know how we made it look so good for the picture? Power washers with vinegar on limestone wall, a trick older than Hannibal. Woof, that sucks. Fenekagami says, does this guy have any idea how common the name Adam is? Apparently not.
Just to end this episode with an eye-opener. And of course, I'll be back with much more very soon. And I hope you all have a great...
Ugh, these conspiracies are getting lazier, I'm telling ya. The kids these days, they just don't write conspiracy theories like they used to. Hitless Filler says he doesn't understand that buildings are not permanent, require tons of constant maintenance and upkeep, were more flammable, and yes, were lit and heated with gases and oils.
Google Earth has become a powerful tool for both professional researchers and curious amateurs alike. It allows anyone with an internet connection to virtually traverse the globe, uncovering hidden details in some of the most remote and inaccessible regions of our planet.
Oh god, what is he gonna say? Chitara says, these buildings were simple to build, relatively speaking, the stuff people built 2 centuries prior. You don't need power tools to make any of this, and we know this because, well, the buildings were standing there. This guy is so infuriating because most of my degrees in art history, and we straight up know exactly how these buildings were built. This isn't a case of lost technology or massive cover-up. I know nobody here needs to be told this, but for Paul's sake. And then Moira Soma with 100 bits says, my home city of Tanzburg burned down to the ground twice, 300 years apart. A lot of wooden houses on top of each other with open fires everywhere will do that. I'm almost surprised it didn't happen more often, yeah.
Planet. Among the many fascinating discoveries made through this platform, one stands out as particularly extraordinary. An anonymous man claims to have found what appears to be a Stargate-like object.
Really? This is what you're calling this a Stargate? It's indecipherable what this is. What are you talking about? It could be a fucking polar bear. Who knows? It's not a goddamn Stargate. Believe sci-fi technology exists on the bingo card.
Melting out of the ice in a remote area of Antarctica. The anonymous man, who has chosen to remain unidentified due to the controversial nature of his discovery, was reportedly...
Yeah, I'm sure that's why. That's why he chose to remain anonymous.
Using Google Earth to explore the icy expanses of Antarctica. This vast, largely unexplored continent has long been a subject of intrigue, with rumors of hidden bases, ancient pyramids, and lost civilizations.
Oh, well, there's rumors on the internet, so it's gotta be based on something, right? It's not like people on the internet make up random bullshit all the time.
Circulating for years.
Joan Corbell says research equals pull up Google Earth, drop some acid, and wildly hallucinate. Yeah, my research said by a non-researcher on the bingo card.
However, what the man stumbled upon was something even more extraordinary. A large, circular object, partially...
Oh yeah, that Just because you put the blurry pixels next to this AI-generated image, uses AI on the bingo card, doesn't make them the same thing!
Revealed beneath the melting ice, resembling the Stargate device.
I knew when this shit came out, the conspiracy theorists were gonna use it to try and make their argument seem legitimate. I am so vindicated. Like, I know it wasn't a hot take, I know it was obvious, but the level of usage I've seen this already for misinformation and to try to bolster nonsense arguments is absurd. Gitara says, why is he zooming in on it like we can tell what that is once the pixels are stretched to hell? It's supposed to be ambiguous, so you believe stupid bullshit.
Devices popularized by science fiction. According to the man's account, the object appeared to be an arch and had a perfectly circular shape.
But you can't, what do you mean in perfect? You can't tell! What do you mean? Lennon Cat says, what are you talking about? This is clearly a Stargate. Oh god. Then here's the link. What are you talking about? This is clearly a Stargate. And Dillis Filler says, I forgot to mention we have far superior firefighting training and fire suppression technology. Fire sprinklers, anyone? Fire doors, fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, building codes, and Smokey, who mostly deals with the woods, but in general I'd like to think he knew a thing or two and got fires down in the cities as well.
The sheer size of the object suggested that it was not a natural formation, and its precise
Can't walk good, thanks for following.
Geometry made it unlikely to be the result of glacial movement or ice fractures. The man was struck by how the object seemed to be emerging from the ice, as though it had been hidden beneath the frozen landscape for thousands.
Note the narrative they're trying to spin on this has nothing to do with the image. It looks like it's coming out of the ice. I mean, the whole thing's ice, so I guess kind of like de facto if something was there. But none of the information he's putting on this is found in the image. It's all narrative being built out here, and then the photos here, and you start ascribing these out here bullshit things to the image, even though the image didn't give you any of this information. This conspiracy theorist is imbuing this image with an unearned provenance. This is so cynical. Jesse Courteous, thanks for your membership on YouTube. Much appreciated.
Thousands of years, only to be revealed now as the ice receded due to global warming. The images captured from Google Earth were shared online.
Shit, Jesse Courteous, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 10 memberships on YouTube. Thank you.
Quickly going viral as people around the world began to speculate about the nature of the object. The images, although blurry, and the distinct shape of the object left little doubt that this was not an ordinary ice formation. The object measures 12
I really appreciate it, Jazzy. Thank you.
meters in length, and researchers who investigate mysterious anomalies weighed in on the images, with some suggesting that it could be an ancient artifact, possibly of advanced origin, while others posited that it could be a remnant of an advanced civilization lost to history. The most compelling aspect of the object...
Again, we're still talking about something that's just a blob of pixels on a screen that's completely indecipherable.
...was its similarity...
It would be pointless to argue about this.
...to the concept of a Stargate, a hypothetical device that allows for instantaneous travel between distant points in the universe, often depicted in popular culture as a circular portal. The patterns on the object's surface appeared to be organized in a way that suggested intentional design rather than random natural processes, leading some to speculate that this could indeed be a technology far beyond our current understanding. One of the most popular theories is that the object is a piece of ancient technology, perhaps left behind by a civilization that predates recorded history. This theory aligns with the idea that Antarctica, now a frozen wasteland, may have once been home to an advanced society before it was engulfed by ice. The discovery of such an artifact could potentially rewrite our understanding of human history.
What artifact?
The concept of a Stargate is rooted in...
Okay, this is literally a 13-minute video. I can't. I'm moving on, because this is already driving me absolutely up a fucking wall. Oh boy, here's from the same channel. This is hilarious. Watch this one. Seems like his purview is stupid blurry pictures.
2017. Back in 2017, an unnamed man recently made an astonishing claim.
Oh wow, another unnamed man. That's incredible. This definitely isn't an AI image.
That has reignited local legends and captured the imagination of the wider Bigfoot community. The man who discovered the photograph has chosen to remain anonymous, but his story has resonated
Wow, that's incredible.
with many who are fascinated by the unexplained. After his grandfather passed away...
This channel has almost 2 million subscribers, by the way. You want to feel bad about that.
The man was tasked with sorting through his belongings, a somber task that led him to uncover a hidden treasure, an old, faded photograph that immediately stood out. The black and white image, taken in a snow-covered forest, depicts two figures that appear to be a large humanoid creature and a smaller one, walking along a path through the trees. The figures are covered in dark, thick hair, with the larger one towering over the smaller, and their feet...
Gitara says he keeps saying that scientists think it's a remnant of an ancient advanced civilization, as if we've ever found anything like what he's describing at all. There's literally no point of reference, and he's acting like scientists are comparing it to something else that's actually well documented. Yeah, it's just verbal sleight of hand. It's manipulation tactics used against very gullible people, and it's frustrating to watch in real time.
Features are distinctly ape-like. The photograph itself is haunting.
What features? Which ones? They're bipedal.
In its simplicity. The snow-covered path, flanked by barren trees, adds an eerie quality to the scene. The figures, seemingly unaware of the camera.
I just had a revelation. Is the script for this written by AI too? Because the wording is really weird, and I feel like he generates these AI images, has a script write like a 10-minute video about it, and then shits it out on the internet with absolutely no fucking care for anything. Okay, I'm moving on. Fuck this grifter. Try this one.
George Bush, Justin Bieber, Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, every Chinese emperor, Queen Elizabeth, Mark Zuckerberg. What do all these people have in common? Well,
Irritable bowel syndrome?
all of them hide a dark and cold secret just beneath their artificial skins. According to 4% of Americans, that is.
Explain yourself.
In 2013, public polling revealed that a small
These were all humans. True. Good answer.
but not entirely negligible portion of the United States population subscribe to the idea that a race of shape-shifting lizard people control our world by taking on human form and gaining power.
Oh, thank God. Is this video gonna be people... Because this is a channel that posts all sorts of reptilian conspiracies. Is this one gonna be a breakdown of the actual conspiracy belief, and they accidentally ripped it and posted it?
By comparison, the same poll found that 7% of respondents believed the moon landing was fake, and 5% claimed the Beatles member Paul McCartney died in 1966 and was secretly replaced with a body double. Ever since around the early 2000s, there has been this idea floating around in our popular consciousness that a collection of famous people, from our political leaders to celebrities, are secretly reptile-like
Tom Kenny? Sure.
aliens disguised as humans. These mysterious beings from another planet have been delicately influencing us throughout our distant and not-so-distant past for malicious purposes. They control the government and popular culture, telling us what to think and what to do.
We could be a food source.
Admittedly, it is one of the more
The creepy reptilian Bill Clinton.
purposes.
We could be a food source.
Control the government and popular culture, telling us what to think and what to do.
Look at this as it morphs.
We could be a food source.
Admittedly, it is one of the more absurd and nutty conspiracies out there, and to most people it has rightfully become a sort of widespread joke. However, for others, it is no joke at all. There are people who emphatically believe in this conspiracy, often citing evidence from history, cultural mythology, and archaeology that supposedly supports its existence. Where does this reptilian conspiracy come from, exactly? What is the alleged evidence held up in its defense? And why are there people who actually believe in it? To answer these questions, I have a special guest joining us today, Dr. David Miano from the World of Antiquity channel.
Hi Trey, thanks for having me.
This is actually really interesting. We stumbled into a video that actually explains a conspiracy. Hooray.
I am really excited to be talking about reptilians with you. It's going to be fun. I will offer my observations as they come up. Let's get into it.
So sit back and enjoy this installment of Behind the Conspiracy, Reptilians. Despite the claims of
If you
many
guys
of
don't mind, I'm going to keep watching this just because it's interesting and it is on theme, even though he's not a conspiracy theorist. Is that okay? Or should I not?
its proponents, the idea of reptilians is relatively young. It appears that we only need to go back a little under 100 years to see its origins. This specific origin story is often mentioned in various pieces of reptilian media. As the story goes, on January 29, 1934, the Los Angeles Times newspaper reported that an engineer by the name of George Warren Shufelt had conducted a mining survey beneath the city of LA.
Yeah, I remember this article. This comes up in reptilian stuff all the time as one of their primary sources for the belief in it.
Specifically under Fort Moore Hill.
Because, oh, why would the news media report on this?
Shufelt claimed to have discovered, with the help of a so-called radio X-ray machine, a complex labyrinth of underground tunnels and catacombs. His X-ray pictures revealed rooms of solid gold and massive subterranean passages, going as deep as 100 feet below the surface.
Definitely not a scam.
And according to him, this intricate network formed the shape of a lizard. After consulting with a Hopi Indian by the name of Little Chief Greenleaf, Shufelt concluded that the tunnels were in fact something out of an old Hopi legend, the remains of a vast underground city built 5,000 years ago, not by humans, but by the lizard people. According to Chief Greenleaf, there was once 3 such cities along the Pacific coast of North America, constructed in order to escape some kind of great fiery cataclysm. 1,000 families of these lizard people dwelled beneath the earth, keeping records on gold tablets. This ancient race,
damn it! Joseph Smith said it again!
Was also incredibly intelligent. The intellectual accomplishments of their night.
I want to point out, gold tablets, not great to put a message on. Gold is Not strong. I hope it's some kind of alloy, otherwise it's not gonna last long.
9-year-old children were equal with those of present-day college graduates. We are told that all of Schufeldt's attempts to excavate this forgotten city beneath a city were unsuccessful, to say the least. We will talk about this more in depth later, but according to most retellings, funding on his project dried up, and his findings never saw the light of day. The ruins of the lizard people and their dozens of gold treasures are allegedly still down there in the dark, just beneath.
Does anyone want to go steal some reptilian treasure with me? No? Okay.
The bustling streets and
I guess I'll just do streaming then.
sidewalks of America's second largest city. From Schufeldt's original discovery, we see the emergence of several similar conspiracies. Soon after, in the 1940s, occultist and writer Maurice Doreal wrote a little-known pamphlet entitled Mysteries of the Gobi, where he describes a serpent race with bodies like man, but heads like a great snake. These snake men had the ability to take human form. In an unspecified prehistoric era, they engaged in a violent war with humans and were driven to near extinction. Where Doreal got this
Very Conan the Barbarian
information is anyone's guess. In the 1990s, Doreal's writings would later influence conspiracy theorist David Icke. Icke's writings are a whole nother story, but essentially just expanded on these original concepts, that a race of ancient lizard-like creatures from another star live underground in bases throughout the world, and have disguised themselves as influential humans.
Gitara with 50 bits says, ooh, I can answer why we see reptilians in the art of our ancestors. It's a secret, come closer. The TLDR version is, humans are quickly little folks, and we like making art of the world around us. That includes random stuff like planets, landmarks, and animals, and sometimes we give those things meaning. Oftentimes, snakes, sometimes shown as nondescript or humanoid reptiles, are evil because, you won't believe this, ancient people thought they were dangerous. Go figure.
Mainly royal bloodlines in wealthy dynasties. The Bush family, the British royal family, and the Rothschilds, etc. These creatures secretly feasted on human flesh or had some other malicious purpose.
Jeb Bush, reptilian overlord. Please clap.
In mind for us.
Normal Gamer Gal, thanks for 11 months, says, almost a year. Can't believe it's been this long since I got Twitch to watch you making fun of BBY people live. Well, I'm glad you did.
Icke's influence took these relatively unknown ideas to the mainstream, and as a result, the conspiracy of the reptilians, or reptoids, took on a new life and resonated particularly well among right-wing conspiracy theorists. It is claimed that humans for thousands of years have been encountering these beings, and evidence of these interactions have been preserved in the artwork and stories of ancient humans. In the wake of this surge, believers searched the past for corroborating evidence. Ancient Aliens featured several of these in their episode, and I will give a brief overview of them before we take a closer look. One of the most common examples used to prove the existence of reptilians are these mysterious figurines from Neolithic
Reptoid sounds like a slur. We prefer people of cold blood.
Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. They are one of the few pieces of physical evidence, tangible artifacts, used by proponents. Archaeologists know them as the Ubaid lizard people figurines, excavated from several Mesopotamian sites, such as the prehistoric
Unfortunately, Jubilee Helix, you did miss the Flintstones. You'll have to watch the VOD.
cities of Ur and Eridu.
It was good, though. It was very funny.
The clay
Interesting.
statuettes are all dated to the Ubaid period of the region, and depict humanoids with thin and elongated bodies, coffee bean-shaped eyes, and pinched noses that give their faces an overall reptilian-like appearance. Ancient Aliens posits that they are too realistic to depict mythological or fantasy creatures,
What?
and are in fact based on the
Did
real
he just cite Ancient Aliens?
deal.
I know he's not a conspiracy theorist, but it's just funny that they're being cited for any reason.
Breathing lizard men and women encountered by our
Ancient Aliens is such a fucking joke.
early ancestors. In addition to these
How many seasons of Ancient Aliens were there? It's gonna hurt me to hear, but that said season 8, and that hurts me in and of itself.
figurines, reptilian proponents use a wide variation of mythological stories and
Nerdy says, as someone who lives in the same part of England as David Icke, I feel the need to apologize for him making this shit popular. Okay, I accept your apology.
Religious texts from cultures around the world to suggest they are all talking about the same thing.
What do you mean it's still going? What do you mean it's still going? That show's been on the air almost as long as The Simpsons. What the fuck?
Several cultures mention reptile gods or powerful snake-like beings. As we mentioned before, Shufelt believed that the Hopi tribe of North America had one such story. Ancient Aliens primarily focuses on the Hebrew Bible. They claim that the Bible references the existence of a serpent race called the Sephirim. According to them, the snake or Nahash in the Garden of Eden was just one of a race, and was completely humanoid prior to God punishing it for tempting Eve in the garden. South Asian mythology mentions the Nagas. Ancient Aliens defines them as a semi-divine race of serpent people, with the Well of Sashana serving as the entrance to the underground city of the Nagas, named Patala. The Jinn in Islam and the feathered serpent gods of Mesoamerica are also viewed as lizard men, too.
Yeah, seraphim are a class of angels.
I could go on, but...
Why it sounds similar to Nephilim.
According to legend.
Which are the mythological offspring of human women and angels.
Alexander the Great was sired by a...
There's also cherubim.
Dragon.
All of this is to say that according to these conspiracy theorists, many different regions around the world share unmistakable similarities that lend credence to the idea that humans have been interacting with a race of advanced subterranean reptile humanoids pretty regularly throughout history, from at least the Neolithic until relatively recent times, Hellenistic periods, and so on. Now, this is a lot to unpack. At its surface... I'm so sorry, I know I really need to stop doing puns. The evidence for the reptilian conspiracy may seem a tad bit compelling, but this is only because of the way books and TV shows like Ancient Aliens have phrased and presented these examples. In reality, the reptilian conspiracy is built on nothing more than blatant lies and misinformation. Let's break it down. Let's start with that lost city of the lizard people Warren G. Shufelt claimed to have discovered under Los Angeles, as this story seemingly jump-started the whole conspiracy in the first place. The account as told in the original LA Times newspaper, and how many have since retold it, is misleading, if not entirely wrong, as it leaves out many crucial details. For example, you might be asking, if these catacombs exist, why are there no pictures taken of them or of the supposed gold tablets? Well, it's because the whole story...
Because they had to read them from the inside of a top hat, obviously. It's like you've never dealt with golden tablets before, geez. Lazarus Faustus with 100 bits says, honestly, with how long the History Channel was obsessed with World War II and Hitler, to the point many of my history professors called it the Hitler Channel, I'm not surprised they gave 20 seasons to a thinly veiled white supremacist propaganda show. Yeah.
...is itself a bunch of bunk. All the claims of Shufelt told to the press were completely unsubstantiated, as he never presented any kind of physical proof to back himself up. Not a single tablet or engraved stone, not even pictures taken inside the tunnels. The radio X-ray device Shufelt claimed to have used to find the site in the first place was nothing more than a glorified dowsing rod when looked at closer, as it had nothing to do with either radio waves or X-rays.
Yeah, I kind of figured based on the name.
As many of you might have guessed, George Warren Shufelt was not the most trustworthy of individuals.
No.
If one looks back at the records, he had a long history of pulling publicity stunts just like this.
Gold hunt resumes at Old Fort. Catacombs under city declared gold-filled. Oh, so he just liked to make up stories about gold? Was he selling shovels to people?
According to the newspaper records, would-be treasure seekers have been looking for...
Opinion on Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde. I liked it as a kid, but I haven't seen it in a long time. And there's a pretty obvious reason that I liked it as a kid, so I don't know how it holds up.
...for gold beneath LA's Fort Moore Hill ever since the late 1890s, long before Shufelt even started. All of them turned up empty. A couple decades later, on March 4th, 1933, a very familiar name appears in an edition of the LA Times, almost an entire year before that very same newspaper would run the lizard people story. Wait a minute. Our old friend Shufelt and a group of men had decided to pick up where the 1890s gold hunters left off, and began excavating Fort Moore Hill. Oh, not for reptilian gold, but conquistador gold. According to him, in his possession was an ancient sheepskin map, indicating that Spanish treasure had been...
Was there... was he like trying to scam people? Like, was he trying to get funding from people and then skip town and do it in another state? Because back then you could do that and get away with it. I'm assuming he would get stuff printed in newspapers with his, special device or his special knowledge or map or whatever, hope that someone would come to him with money and say, hey, come with me with your information or tools or whatever. We'll find the gold. And then he'd take their money and skip town. I don't know that to be the case. It just seems like what's maybe going on here.
And buried under the hill over 100 years ago. Hundreds of gold doubloons were just waiting to be dug up. In this version of events, we get no mention of the fabled lizard people. Warren Schufeldt's adventures are subsequently detailed pretty extensively in the LA Times that year from March to April. His team repeatedly petitioned the LA Board of Supervisors for extensions in funding on their project, with the intent of splitting the treasure with the city once it was discovered. They would consistently claim they were just about to unearth their goal, if only they had a little more time. By
bet.
September of 1933, however, Schufeldt and all but one of his original team officially gave up the search. It's not that the project ran out of money, it's that it just found nothing, and the LA Board of Supervisors had begun to suspect that they were being duped. Even at the time, few believed the claims
Would people do that? Just go on the newspaper and lie?
of Schufeldt and his accomplices. One article claims that they were heckled by streetgoers as they worked. As the months wore on, everybody seemed to have realized that the story was just a bunch of hot air. Reporter Ed Ainsworth mockingly wrote,
Hope you're doing well, the Cronian.
"Isn't it funny how early Spaniards seemed to do nothing but trapeze around the country with jackloads of gold bullion? They never apparently wanted to spend their gold." It was yet another version of the typical dying prospector story, one that many at the time had not only heard, but had been fooled by before. We should not forget that the backdrop for this whole incident was the height of the Great Depression in the United States. Thousands of unemployed men across the country.
To be clear, I'm not laughing at the Great Depression. Obviously, that's depressing. I'm laughing at the fact that it's like the time period makes it even clearer that he was just trying to grift people.
Were in dire need of work and a wage. The idea of uncovering a secret cache of Spanish gold to bring people from rags to riches was a tempting prospect. In fact, much of the digging was done by hand, as a public works project to provide jobs for the city of LA during the Depression.
Ikegami says, I don't accept Gennerdy's apology. David Icke's conspiracy is the last straw Britain had in its chance. When the coconut train takes the White House, we will turn England into a colony of the USA, and the first order of business after doing so is ban turfdom from the Isles.
The story helped motivate people, even if it was all for naught in the end. Seriously, blame the Great Depression for giving us reptilians. The whole thing would have
Thanks, Great Depression. You were doing so well.
Lapsed into obscurity, if not for Schufeldt's
And also gave us Twinkies. Oh.
infamous
Points for that.
reappearance in the LA Times in January 1934, in the article that we read before. Yes, Schufeldt, after abandoning his project as a failure, for some reason decided to return to the press for a second time, with a familiar but tweaked version of his original tale. In this new version, there was no mention of a sheepskin map or Spanish conquistadors. Instead, Schufeldt claims that all along he was searching for an ancient city belonging to the race of lizard people. This is also where we first hear about the character of Little Chief Greenleaf and the Hopi legend. So here's the thing. Why change the story so drastically and suddenly? Well, as it turns out, it appears Schufeldt made it all up. And I mean everything. Let's start with his source, Little Chief Greenleaf. In reality, there is no record of such a person ever existing.
I'm shocked.
According to the birth and death certificate databases of the Hopi Reservation. Now, this doesn't rule out his existence entirely, but I find it rather suspicious that
I think they would have a record of a chief. Like maybe it was just some random guy, but he was claiming it's a chief. They would have a record of their chiefs.
the only reference I can find to this person ever existing is this single newspaper article. Wait a second. I feel like I've been in this situation before. I suspect that Schufeldt might have created Greenleaf out of whole cloth, fabricating an Indian persona for himself to use as a puppet, and in doing so lend credibility to his story. Likewise, the supposed Hopi legend of the lizard people living underground doesn't appear to exist either, Skeptic Brian Dunning, after consulting tribal writings and ethnographic accounts, was completely unable to find any basis for the story in actual Hopi mythology. In fact, the Hopi don't even live in California. Shufelt might have actually meant the Zuni tribe, not the Hopi, as the Zuni do in fact have a vaguely similar legend about their ancestors living in underground caves. It goes like this. Men and creatures were more alike then than now. Our fathers were black, like the caves they came from. Their skins were cold and scaly like those of mud creatures. Their eyes were goggled like an owl's. Their ears were like those of cave bats. Their feet were webbed like those of walkers in wet and soft places. They had tails, long or short, as they were old or young. Men crouched when they walked, or crawled along the ground like lizards. They feared to walk straight, but crouched as before time they had in their cave worlds, that they might not stumble or fall in uncertain light. Shufelt's version is a bit of a bastardization of the original Zuni myth. The real legend isn't talking about a city of intelligent lizard people. It's a creation myth for humanity, like the story of Genesis. According to the Zuni, humans originated from caves and were once far more animal-like until they went to the surface. This mythology is definitely interesting, but not exactly evidence of anything but humans telling creative stories. Shufelt seemingly twisted the original myth to sound far more science fiction-y than it really was, by adding falling stars and advanced technology. Scholars have also noted that his version is very reminiscent of pulp science fiction authors at the time, particularly the works of Robert E. Howard of Conan the Barbarian fame, and H.P. Oh God, why is my cat named that? Lovecraft.
I do want to point out, good for me for pointing that out earlier, the Conan connection without knowing it. I called that shit.
Howard created the Serpent Men of Lucia, while Lovecraft created stories like The Nameless City. It is entirely possible that Shufelt was familiar with these stories, and used elements of both in his claims about the lost metropolis beneath L.A. If I were to guess, Shufelt saw that he had taken the old Spanish gold story as far as it could. After failing to produce results the first time, he needed additional funding and a new audience. Using a combination of Zuni myths and science fiction stories he had read about, he produced a fresh new tale to grab people's attention and get his treasure hunting business back on track.
Chicken Bacon Swiss, thanks for gifting a sub.
It doesn't appear like it worked for him, as I found little of note about Shufelt following 1934. He died in 1957, aged 71. His grave is apparently still in Valhalla Memorial Park in North Hollywood, if anyone wants to check. As for LA's Fort Moore Hill, it has been excavated extensively since the time of Shufelt. In 1938, a fair amount of dirt from the hill was used to fill Union Station during its construction. In 1949, the Broadway Tunnel was demolished to make way for the new Hollywood Freeway. Both projects were extensive, but failed to produce any evidence of underground catacombs or gold. The origin of the Reptilian conspiracy was essentially just some random guy's attempt to make a quick buck during the Great Depression. And here we are now. But what about all those other artifacts and stories? Let's talk about those convincing figurines. The Ubayyad figurines were first discovered by archaeologists back in the 1920s, who described them as drab pottery figurine of a man. Evidently, they didn't find them.
Imagine that you create a fucking sculpture that maybe meant something important to you, and then, like, thousands of years later, some asshole at the British Museum is like, drab figure? That's insulting. Even as a ghost, that's insulting.
The most exciting or interesting of ancient artifacts. Little did they know that their relatively minor discovery would be proclaimed almost a century later as one of the most central pieces of evidence to a grand...
Was that lizard person suckling an infant? Do these people know that reptiles don't have mammary glands? Kind of a big feature of mammals. Believe me, I've taken pills specifically to acquire them.
And conspiracy.
A big thing with mammals.
I think all the attention that the lizardmen figurines get might be the result of the general lack of published studies on them by actual scientists, the absence of expert voices leading to nutty theories taking root. Let's hear what David has to say about them.
Because of their elongated heads, pointed noses, dots on the torso, and coffee bean-shaped eyes. Earlier treatments of these figurines called them ophidian, suggesting they are snake-like. It's true that because this isn't a period before writing, we don't know...
Yeah, we can have racist disbelief of historical achievements for all of this. Also, it's hard to see for you guys, but this guy has a TARDIS. You can see the little bottom of it on the top left, on the top of his cabinet on the left. Got a TARDIS up there. Hell yeah.
A whole lot about them, but they may very well be stylized human figures. The strange head could be a mask worn during ceremonies or other special occasions. Or it could be artificial skull elongation, which was practiced, we know this, in the area at the time.
He also has a Fourth Doctor Funko Pop.
Marks on the body may be tattoos or scarification. There's been a lot of talk about what they look like, and not as much talk about what they were used for. They've been found in graves and within settlements. They were not children's toys because they're not found in any children's graves. And they're not effigies of the deceased because, well, there are not enough differences between them, as you would differentiate people, right? But people appear to have owned these figurines during their lifetimes, and then they were buried with them when they died.
Yes, as David says, we don't really know what these figurines were used for, or what they meant to these ancient people. Much attention has been brought to them, but in truth there's just not much to go on or even talk about. We just picture these figurines as mysterious because we lack the writing or folklore to explain their purposes and meanings, not necessarily because they are particularly shocking. They could represent all kinds of things. They could be depictions of gods, or guardian spirits, or fantasy monsters, ancestors, priests in masks, or goofy hairstyles. Their vaguely lizard-like appearance could just be the product of art style. We just don't know, and probably will never know their true meanings. But one thing is clear, that these figurines are likely not depictions of alien reptoids. In a similar vein, let us examine the Nagas of South Asian folklore.
The Nagas can indeed be found in South Asian myth. Our oldest source on the Nagas is the Indian epic Mahabharata, the earliest form of which dates to around the 8th or 9th century BCE. And since then, the stories about them have been expanded and embellished. They're depicted as serpents, sometimes holy snakes, other times part snake and part human, other times just human. The fact that they don't have a single form highlights the non-physical, magical aspect of the Nagas. And in the legends, some are said to have been rulers, the Nagarajas, and some claim they came from Sri Lanka.
As we can see, Nagas in actual South Asian myth are not the race of advanced humanoid reptiles Ancient Aliens claims. The stories about them have been twisted to say things they explicitly don't. For example, the underground Naga Sedia Patala is actually a type of underworld in Indian cosmology, like Hades or Hell. It exists in the lower depths of the universe itself. Reptilian proponents even use images of Indian stepwells as entrances to Patala, but these stepwells are not mysterious to archaeologists or even that ancient. The oldest of them were created in the 2nd century AD, and most others, especially the more complex ones, were made much later in the 900s and 1000s AD. And yes, we know that they were made by human hands for the very utilitarian purpose of collecting water, not entrances to reptilian cities. These wells are medieval. Claiming aliens built them is just as ridiculous as claiming aliens built Christian cathedrals in Europe. Ancient Aliens also butchers the Bible by reading a little, well, let's be honest, a lot between the lines. Take their claim that the serpent in the Garden of Eden was a completely humanoid reptilian. The interpretation of the Genesis story, the Garden of Eden, has been the subject of great debate for literally centuries. Over time, many people, not just Ancient Aliens, have made the text say things that it explicitly does not state at all. The identity and importance of the serpent is one of them. As far as we can tell, in the original story, the Genesis serpent, or Nahash, was just that, a serpent. The story, as the ancient Israelites understood it, was that this Nahash was merely the first snake created by God, an ancestor to every snake afterwards. You can explicitly see this in the language of the text. Now the serpent was more subtle than any other beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. The word Nahash is also used elsewhere in the Hebrew Bible to refer to completely ordinary snakes. Aspects of the Garden of Eden serve as a creation story, a story that was told by early humans to explain a natural phenomena that they encountered in daily life, something that is universal to all religions. Since the dawn of time, people have always asked questions. Why does it rain? Or why is childbirth so painful? Why don't snakes have legs like other animals? The Bible is filled with these.
Oh no, the creation story of Adam and Eve is just a bad Disney prequel where they try and explain every little fan obsession question. Where did Indiana Jones get his hat? That's the third Indiana Jones movie, and that's actually a good example of that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Kinds of mythic explanations. According to the ancient Israelites, prior to God punishing it, the snake had legs like a lizard, but due to his cleverness, he was cursed to crawl on his belly. There are also similarities in the story to the ancient text, the Epic of Gilgamesh. In the significantly older story, the king Gilgamesh wants to attain immortality, and almost achieves this by consuming a magical flower. However, a serpent steals it from him at the last second, and as a result, the animal sheds its skin and retains its youth, thus explaining why snakes shed their skin. The idea that the snake in Genesis was Satan or Lucifer in disguise is a much later reinterpretation, deserving of its own video. Many aspects of the story we interpret today are not found in the original text of Genesis. For example, later Christian art depicting the serpent as a female humanoid likely comes from, again, a reinterpretation of the narrative, where the character of the serpent was fused with that of Lilith, a demon-like succubus that has a pretty complicated history in and of itself. I discussed this in a previous video, so you should check that out. Anyways, the point is no, the snake in the Garden of Eden was not meant to be interpreted as a reptilian. It's just a dang snake. Speaking of which, we should talk about that Sephirim in the Bible as well. Ancient Aliens describes them as a serpent race, the Garden of Eden snake just being one
Sorry, that snake flop was just, that was fucking hilarious.
Of them.
Seraphim is the plural form of the Hebrew word seraph, which indeed does refer to a supernatural or heavenly being. The Hebrew root of the word, which means to burn or incinerate, may refer to the seraph's act of burning or destroying the enemies of God. Iconography from ancient Judah.
Let me find this on YouTube, because this is on a channel that's a conspiracy channel. So this isn't actually the channel of the guy that made this, and let me see if I can find it. Because he definitely deserves it, and I also want to subscribe to him, because I've never seen this guy before. Here he is, Trey the Explainer looks like his channel. Video specifically. Here you go. I'll link it on YouTube as well if you want to give him a subscription. He certainly deserves it. I'm gonna subscribe.
Has been found depicting a seraph, which is a winged serpent. It has similarities to the Uraeus of Egypt, a serpent that was believed to spit fire. This coincides with verses in the Bible, such as Numbers 21, 6-8, and Deuteronomy 8:15, which speaks of fiery serpents, and Isaiah 14:21, which speaks of a flying serpent, all instances using the word seraph. Is a flying snake a reptile? Sure, but a winged serpent doesn't really coincide with the description of the reptilians that Ancient Aliens gives. They aren't humanoid. It's true that a passage in Genesis 3:14 has been interpreted by some to mean that the snake originally had legs, but this wouldn't automatically indicate it was humanoid. Humans aren't the only creatures with legs, after all.
What?
Ancient Aliens does this a lot with mythologies, where they take these magical and fantastical stories 100% literally, and this is simply a wrong way to view them. This is the type of show that sees a guy wearing a crocodile costume and thinks it's an eyewitness sketch of an alien lizard. That's what we're working with here. The truth is, humans are an incredibly creative and imaginative species. We love making things up. Mythologies around the world are filled with chimeras, absurd monsters made up of different parts of real animals, haphazardly stitched together. Sumerian mythology had bulls with the faces of men and the wings of eagles. They had mermaids and scorpion men. Egyptians had jackal-headed men and crocodile-hippo hybrids. Creating stories about lizard men doesn't seem like it would be beyond their imagination. As any child will tell you, just because we dream up monsters and draw them, doesn't mean they are actually real. What ancient aliens and other conspiracy theorists just don't seem to understand about mythologies is that they are built on human imagination. They grow and develop over time, changing with each retelling of the story to best suit the audience and the storyteller. Take, for example, the mythical creature Medusa. We know Medusa today as the beautiful woman in Greek mythology. She is typically depicted as a woman with venomous serpents for hair. However, she was not always envisioned like this. In her oldest surviving depictions, she looks much different, shown to be far more centaur-like with the hindquarters of a horse. That's right, Medusa was originally a horse girl. This fact actually makes way more sense in the original myth, with her role as the mother of Pegasus. Interestingly, if we fast forward a couple centuries later, we can see that ancient Greek artists changed the story and re-envisioned her as a monstrous ogre-like creature. And a couple centuries after that, she was viewed as far less grotesque.
Oh
pretty similar to the
they
image we have today.
yassified Medusa!
Mythologies are dynamic. They're not meant to be taken as literal
horny
history.
posters
They're often
got to
magical
her.
stories that exist to teach some kind of moral lesson. Upon closer inspection, all these reptilian stories from around the world are very different. There's no uniformity to them. Conspiracy theorists like to play fast and loose with their definitions of what counts as a reptilian story. It appears that any mythology that describes a vaguely reptile-like monster or spirit is instantly jumped on as proof of ancient
Yeah, this guy isn't a conspiracy theorist. He's just talking about the conspiracy
aliens
theories.
encounters. Snakes and lizards are everywhere. You can find them on all but one of the 7 continents, so it's no wonder that snake or lizard
I
inspired
love that lizard. It just looks like it's going
monsters appear in a lot of religions and myths. And at the end of the day, these stories are just that, stories. They don't prove anything except our species' ability to use our imagination. And that's the really disappointing thing about the reptilian conspiracy, is that it's built on such flimsy, non-existent evidence. It's such a dumb story that you would hope that its origins would be much more interesting. But in the end, it's just a bunch of nothing, built on plagiarism after plagiarism, and nutty science fiction-inspired interpretations of old myths. And this is where I'd like to take the time to acknowledge that the whole conspiracy has a rather unsavory undertone to it all, and as silly as it is not entirely harmless. Fittingly, the idea of the reptilians is pretty much just a blatant plagiarism of an older conspiracy, one that has existed in Western culture for centuries.
Anti-Semitic, blood libel in some cases.
Semitism, and the
Trey the Explainer, here's a link to his
belief
channel.
that Jewish people are not only evil, but secretly controlling the world's government. Christians even believed rumors that Jews drank the blood of children, just like the reptilians consuming humans like cattle. Let's please put this toxic mess in the waste bin of history, where it belongs. Well, this is kind of a depressing ending, so here's Lizard Bill Clinton.
We could be a food source.
I'd like to thank Dr. Dave.
Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, I love how your stream will go from super racy and crazy to super chill. Thank you.
Mayano, again for joining me for this installment. Feel free to check out his channel for great archaeology topics. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new. See you guys next time.
That was very interesting. Glad I found that guy. Very cool. What shall we do next? This looks weird. Let's try this out. I know the audio was low on this, so I'll probably have to boost it.
Good day, howdy y'all. This is a video that began a month ago when we visited a library nearby. We were in the children's section, my partner, my daughter, and I. And we were on our way out. We had a good 12 books or so, maybe half from the children's section, half from the broader section of the library. And she strikes up a conversation with a little girl, and then soon enough, this little girl's brother comes over. The little girl's brother is a 6-year-old, the little girl's 3, my daughter 4. They all hang out for a while and get to talking, and we got to listen in on them. And that's what this painting came from. So the boy kept bringing up Harry Potter, which I found was really interesting because Harry Potter wasn't introduced into my life until a little bit later, like when I was 7 or 8. But it was.
Did Harry Potter come out when you were 7 or 8? Because Harry Potter didn't come out until, like, the late 90s? How old is this guy? He sounds older than that. What?
Introduced in the way a Bible would be. So
What?
for these backwards people, Harry Potter makes sense to be that. Witches and wizards and a secret hiding in plain sight club.
It's literally just millennial parents imposing their fandoms on their children, which is a discussion for another day. Benekagami says, fear of snakes is one of the most common phobias, right up there with darkness, spiders, and heights. It's possible that the reason snakes get depicted as evil or disgusting so often in cultures may both be because of the danger that fearing them is part of our evolution, like how we viscerally react with disgust to pee, blood, vomit, and feces. Or butterflies, right? Butterflies? Just me?
Of gang sign throwers and so forth. And then this person continued to talk about Star Wars, and then dinosaurs inevitably came up because in this children's section, as is with many children's sections across the world that I've seen, dinosaurs are plenty and they emphasize them all the time. And here my daughter theoretically is pictured saying, dinosaurs are made-up creatures inspired by reptiles and birds. They make no sense.
Oh no.
And then this little, quote-unquote boy with the curve in the back and...
I'm sorry, did this guy transvestigate a real child that he was in contact with? Because I'm feeling real uncomfy about this one.
Orange dino shirt says, well, they were around 66 million years ago. To go along with their numerical bullshit. And then, you have a bird and a turtle here. Turtle being lifted up by the bird. And the bird says, finally, Jeevesy, a voice of reason. You finally get the respect we deserve. And then the turtle says, indubitably, my good comrade. Because the dinosaurs obviously, and then Dino says, oh man. Like, fantastical Dino was present, of course. So, the avians and reptiles represent...
I realize now that the drawing is something he did, and not something his child, too, so...
what dinosaurs have come to be. I think originally it was just lizard, but they've been depicted with more feathers and more bird-like over the years. I think that's the genesis of them, is mostly birds and reptile deviations. And then, mechanical. I think you got the crane, you've got...
I'm very uncomfortable with the way he drew this kid. Why did he do this?
Maybe Brachiosaurus, and then you got the wrecking ball for the Ankylosaurus and so forth. But changing the conversation on this from a young age. When I was young, Jurassic Park was very popular. It came out the year I was born, I believe, yeah. And those images are seared into my brain, just like those of Land Before Time, which is a wonderfully animated movie, one of the best I've ever seen, purely on its magical value, how beautifully it's rendered, made, music.
Sir,
everything.
We all like Don Bluth, we get it.
The experience of that film is quite special. And you could have swapped out Littlefoot, Sarah, and Petrie, and Ducky, and so forth from Land Before Time with maybe turtles and lizards and a bird, and it would have been just as good of a movie, but they had to put on the dinosaur hat because we're dealing with big Hollywood media, which is all about suspending your disbelief and taking you on for a ride. So where I was taught this stuff was cool, I was surrounded with dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are to the 90s what superheroes are to the 2010s. And so far, still kind of the 2020s.
Dinosaur stuff as a young child of the 90s, born in 93. my daughter, she also has it surrounding her. It's in every children's section of any bookstore, of any...
Okay, I gotta give up on this guy, because he is just barely speaking. He's just going slow. Okay, I think we need to call it a night. I did the 3-hour stream earlier, so I'm cool cutting it a little early today. Like half an hour early, more than usual. That's okay. So thanks everyone for hanging out for Tinfoil Tuesday. Much appreciated. I had a lot of fun doing the Trump-Elon stream earlier, and this one. I'll be back tomorrow for something else. Probably Sovereign Citizens. Love you too, Mr. Blast. Let's see who we're going to raid on Twitch. If you haven't already, make sure you give my channel a follow on Twitch or a subscription on YouTube if you haven't already. You're all great. I'm excited to hang out again tomorrow. What VC Archive?
Gemini for the first time ever!
That's the loudest thing in the history of the world. And I apologize. I'm also wearing a headphone, so that fucked me up too. I feel deaf. Alright. See you tomorrow, everyone! That wasn't VC Archive's fault, that was me. For the record, I had a booster on because that guy was quiet, and I forgot to shut it off before I went to another channel. So don't blame VC Archives, blame me. That's on me. I'll take the heat for that one. That's my L. Alright, adios everyone. See you tomorrow, or whenever I see you if you're not hanging out tomorrow. Bye-bye!